watch Survivor, and when the show ends, you really want to talk about it with like-minded friends. It might be hard to find some, but don't you shed a tear. Check out the Purple Rock Podcast, and this is what you'll hear. John will make some dumb jokes, and he likes to yell and curse, and if they're not available, the backup hosts are so much worse. Spend the whole time being jerks, telling you you're wrong, and so we got this other jerk to sing you our theme song. It's the Purple Rock Survivor Podcast.
Hello, and welcome to the Purple Rock Survivor Podcast. I am your host, your one true host, Andy, and with me, once again, for third time for me, second time for you all, Matt. Welcome back to the show.
Hey, glad to be back here so often that one of my episodes has been lost. Hopefully, only one. They're going to hear this one, right, Andy?
We'll find out.
Okay.
No promises. Yeah, when I found out late yesterday that John once again scheduled a social event for Thursday night, which is fine. We've only been doing this for like 5 years on Thursday nights. I think there was a while when Survivor was on a different night. So I'm not sure. What did we do then?
No, it's always been on Wednesday.
I feel like it was on Thursday for a while because it used to be on Thanksgiving night. But maybe it's never been on Thursday while this podcast has existed. But so when he let me know that, like, oh, yeah, I'm busy tomorrow, I was like, oh, well, Matt's already done this 3 times. But it's been a while.
It has.
Yeah. So you're not the most recent. So I figured it was worth checking in. But first, before we do that, let's talk about the episode itself. We're here to talk about episode 11. And to warm up, as we usually do, simple question. Did you like the episode?
I mean, honestly, I kind of wish I had come in on like any other episode after the merge. Like, you know, you saved a dud for me, man.
Maybe that's what, I mean, to be clear, John bailed before ever watching the episode, so it wasn't one of those. And actually, I would say it's like, oh, but I kind of wouldn't mind not recording. Again, even though I hadn't seen it, it's just, you know, I'm here every week, man. Yeah, I'm not as like I'm not going to disagree with your opinion. Like, well, you're off base. I don't even know if it was a dud for me so much as it's just kind of is, you know. It's a table setting episode.
Yeah,
which promises some, something's going to happen next week, one way or another, right? And
is it though?
No, something. It might not end up being like as cool as we want, but like there's 6 people, 3 on one side, 3 on another. There's tools. There's things are expiring. Like something is going to happen this week, and you know, this week was probably more about setting that up. And I don't know that it was bad, but I also am not particularly jazzed to speak about any elements of it. Like, this is one of those breakdowns where it's very much, well, this was a thing that happened, but I don't know, like, it was like, oh, debate or anything. We'll find out. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, like it's like I'm not as out on this episode as I had been like a lot of like pre-merge or even early merge episodes. But it's a 43-degree day or whatever. I tried to do, but I can't remember the Wire quote, and I don't know your system of measurement when I tried to pick a degree day there. 43-degree day for me would be the boiling heat death of the universe. I honestly don't know what that is for you. Is that a mild day? Is that a cold day?
It's cold,
okay,
but not like really cold. It's
gotcha.
like, yeah, but I definitely call that cold. Okay. But I also remember that Stringer, what the degree that he had for the day was a cold day. And I was like, I don't think that's the temperature that you should be saying that for. I always thought he was like, you know, at least 5 degrees too low.
Yeah.
Anyway, the thing about this episode that I think is interesting is not what happens in the episode or tangentially what happens in the episode. But no, it's what you said. It's how it sets up next week, because there could have been outcomes in this episode that would have made next week look a lot less interesting.
Yeah.
And instead, we got an outcome in this episode that I think was the outcome that makes next week look the most interesting that it could have.
Yeah. This one maintains status quo in a way that I didn't really think was going to happen necessarily, right? In a ways that we'll get into, I'm not sure was the right way to do. But yeah, so that's what we're here to talk about, folks.
Yeah.
How will we get your temperature on the season as a whole? Hopefully listeners know where I'm at because I talk about it every damn week, but we haven't talked to you since, I don't know, week 5 or something like that. So where are you at with this season?
So last time I was here, I believe it was the last episode before the merge, and me and you were celebrating the fact that cult leader Shannon got. I think we were both very happy about that. And I think that's when I was last here.
I'm pretty confident that was me and John, but continue.
Okay, maybe I was Jason then?
Maybe. Who knows?
It was late in the pre-merge, I know that much. And it was definitely before the merge.
Confident it wasn't Jason because there's nobody on our cast named Jason. The one name. Oh no, there was. There he is, top left corner. Yeah,
the alternate.
The boring alternate. Yeah. I mean, really, anytime you bring in somebody that wasn't supposed to be there, then that, I mean, it's going to be kind of dull.
He's not even supposed to be here today. Sorry. That's a reference for people that probably our age don't get.
Our age do.
Well, our age do, but I'm saying younger than
the youths.
Yeah, the youths. Anyway, the point is, I haven't been here in a while. And when we were talking pre-merge, my opinion, and I think this was your opinion too, was this season kind of stinks.
Yeah.
Right? And I won't say it's gotten good since the merge, but it's gotten a lot better since the merge.
I think it's become tolerable. Continue, sorry.
Yeah. So whereas before I was like, man, how, it's like, obviously this season won't like touch like the real bottom of the barrel, but is this going to be bottom 10? Now I'm kind of like, this is a mid-season. Like this is a, like overall, like, or at least it has a chance to be, will it hit that fabled Panama line, which is probably no longer Panama? I don't know. I'd have to think about it at the end. But it's getting up there in a way. And for me, the two reasons why have been Savannah and Rizo. And for a lot of the reasons why you were talking last week, Savannah's a psychopath in a way that I find just incredibly entertaining. I want her on my TV screen because she's just nuts and she acts in ways that people don't act. And then I find Rizo to actually be a pretty good player who has grown on me as the season's gone on. And I have started to think of him as my boy. I'm sorry, John. It just happened. So,
yeah, and that's kind of one positive outcome from this episode is that they're still here at the end of it. On the other hand, that's a bit of, and we'll get into it, possibly a frustrating part of the episode of judging by an episode by itself as a singular entity. Yeah, so I'm guessing, you're at now it might reach the sea level Survivor.
Yeah. So, like, there's been 48 seasons of Survivor before. Now it's, whereas before it was like, I think this season's in the 40s. Now it's like, maybe this season's touching, the late 20s now. So.
Yeah. When you're saying, like, it's not at the bottom of the barrel, wasn't that even, pre-merge. I wonder if Survivor could ever reach that level again. Like, there might just be a core competence that keeps it from bottoming out. Now, we're only 10 seasons away from 39, which might be the worst season of all time.
So, yeah.
Maybe I shouldn't say that. But, like, I don't know that anything in the 40s has been at the nadir. I'd have to look at what my rankings are, and I'm not going to. I don't know.
I vaguely remember having one season in the bottom 10, but it was, like, 10th from the bottom. But I don't remember which one.
No, because the numbers are meaningless, right?
Yeah.
I'm guessing it's 43, but I don't know.
Probably.
I think 43 is Gabler.
Yeah, that was pretty bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think 46 is D.
I thought that was
45. That might be 45, and 46 is Kenzie. Just people like that. There's been people who disagree with me, which is also kind of hilarious because I'm literally talking about my own memory. But when I say that like the numbered seasons aren't memorable, I don't mean that there aren't good, memorable seasons in there. I mean that numbers contain no context for me. and the way my brain works, and the way that, sure, there are some lifeless, forgettable seasons in the named season, but the name allows my brain to like figure out what happened then. And obviously we also have the advantage in the past of like different locations.
Yeah.
But yeah, like all I can really do is sequence it in my brain, right? So 41 was right after that, and that was this, and then and then the later we go, I lose count, especially because there isn't like a number like that really like rings out. Like we didn't do like returnees at 45 or something that allows me to kind of, okay, well, the season after that, that's all I'm getting at. And I know that's not really pertinent to this, but just I get that we needed to get rid of the dumb gimmicks, but numbers don't mean things to me like that. Imagine if every James Bond movie was just numbered.
Right. Yeah, like, right. Imagine if it was like James Bond 17.
Yeah.
If I sat down for a really long time, I might be able to guess at which one that is. I don't know if I could, but I might be able to.
And for other people, it's the other way. Some people will number even the name season. Oh, yeah, 23. I have no fucking clue what Survivor 23 is. It's got a name. 20 is Heroes versus Villains, because they just did that around there. But
yeah. Well, and that's how I used to always associate the numbers, which is like I have a few seasons that I could like build around. I was like 20s Heroes versus Villains. I can remember what's, a few before that, a few after that. That gives me something to work off of. No. Like 8 was All Stars, No. So again, that gives me something to work off
30 was Worlds Apart because they kept calling themselves that.
Right, exactly.
The Dirty 30 or whatever.
Right, because they were terrible.
Speaking of nadir.
Oof, they sucked.
Anyway. So that's just all I'm getting at, and I don't think it's going to change. Honestly, I'd be for it after 50 if they start going to something. I don't know what. I honestly didn't mind the terrible gimmicks because we made, hay with them. But anyway.
And it was always great whenever someone bought into the terrible gimmicks, which was always funny, So.
And also it could free them from the idea that like we're only doing big returnees on the big round numbers. Because I'd also, I'm really getting far afield here, but whatever. There's not a lot. The reason why 50 had to have the kind of cast it is because it's 50. And they wanted to do a nice returnee, like, let's check out the new stars. And the CBS is like, no, this is 50. Give me some fucking names. Because in our culture, 50 means something. 50 means more than 40, obviously. But 50 means more than 60. 50 is a big fucking deal because of the way we've structured our societies. And that's why, some of the hipster picks just had to go and like Ozzy and Suri had to get thrown in because it's like, yeah, no, if this was 48, we'd let you do what you want. But this is 50 and we're going to do a marketing campaign. And the logo's going to be all big. This is new numbers and names, man.
And the fact is, they should have realized that, and they probably should have had a returning season of just like 40s players at like 47 or 48. And then the people who really pop there, you throw them in 52.
Yeah. And then you don't have to shoehorn 2 people from this cast because there's still some season left. But like, I don't know if any of these people needed to come back right away. There's certainly like the people we've mentioned. I could always see these, Rizo, Savannah. Yeah, maybe it's like a Sage. I could see them being returnees some point. But again, for a big 5-0, and some of the people that didn't make it for these people's place, they better do something. But we'll talk about that when we talk about that. For now, let's. I think another reason why this episode just doesn't ring out is: was there any doubt in your mind what was going to happen this episode?
No. Yeah. None. Absolutely none. It was like from pretty early on, I was like, I'm pretty sure this is Sophie. And then when they started discussing targets, I'm like, this definitely feels like Sophie. So.
Yeah, like early enough, it's like maybe it's Steven. Usually it's not when they're talking about it like that. It's probably like he's probably going to win immunity, but like it's a plausible one. But once it's positioned as Sophie versus Savannah, it's well positioned. It's very plausible. And yet I did not believe for a minute that Savannah was going home.
No, me neither. And the reason why is because, like, when they're all together, they pitch like when Savannah's not there, they pit Savannah. Sophie leaves and they pit Sophie. And it's like, well, that's the giveaway there.
Yeah.
It's like, that's it. That's the game. So,
yeah. And then there's obviously external factors, if Sophie is the one that gets the one over on the stars of the season, I feel like we would have known her name other than there's another one, right? Much earlier into the season than we have, which is another strike on why the loser tribe format is really not working, because she didn't need to be a featured character, but she probably should have been a character if she was going to be this pivotal.
yes.
So there's that. And then there's just the fact that we're multiple weeks in a row. It's no, these fuckers aren't going to go for it. I'll believe that you're voting for Savannah when you finally do.
It is funny how, there's someone during tribal council who's saying, well, everyone knows I've been trying to get Savannah out for weeks now. And there was someone else at tribal council that had also been trying to get Savannah out for weeks now. And that second person had no intention of getting Savannah out this week. And I never doubted that she was, then I never thought oh yeah, now's the week when she'll try to get Savannah out. And it's just wow, you guys lose sight of the ball real quick.
Yeah. This is why you guys suck. This is why you're the Washington Generals. And look, and that's maybe also another reason why the show couldn't genuinely build the suspense that they were working to build, is Sage might not have played ball. Sage is just I can't wait to get rid of Sophie. I know that I wanted Savannah, but no, Sophie. And it's just okay, can you give us another take where you're legitimately considering voting on Savannah? And Sage is nah.
Nope. and yeah.
So let's talk about that. Honestly, you could go a few different places, because I actually don't know where you've been at with Sage as we go here. What did you think about her, changing her blood feud against Savannah and, engaging a new one against Sophie, who voted out Joanne?
It basically kind of confirmed what I had been thinking about Sage for the past couple weeks, which was that her brief moment in the sun when she looked more interesting was more accidental than intentional.
Mm-hmm.
She does not have the strategic bone in her body that we briefly thought she might early on. Well, not early, but mid.
The Shannon part, yeah.
Yeah, the Shannon part. And once it's once that's gone, once that is illusion is ripped away, I actually think that she's more obnoxious than Savannah in the way she talks and treats people. And I know Savannah's oh, the villain, the mean girl, all that. And it's but she's completely upfront about who she is. And Sage is trying to be clever and thinks she's really smart and but is doing a lot of the same shit. And it's just not as entertaining to me.
Yeah.
And so I've kind of been out on Sage for a while. John won't get offended by this because he doesn't listen. But if he did, sorry, John, but no, that's all you. So.
Yeah, obviously it's important to know for me, I was out on her early. It was not my brand of weirdo. And then, when she turned things around, there's okay. And now I'm back to where I was. It's been a full circle moment. And I started touching on that last week, but this week really highlights and underlines there's no savviness there. It's just somebody who responds emotionally to things, and somebody who is probably quite attuned and accustomed to when people are not into her.
Yeah.
A lot of which I think is a self-inflicted wound, and sometimes almost like a self-defensive, before somebody can reject me, I'll make sure they reject me type behavior.
I think that's exactly it. Yeah. And I was talking to Emma about her last week before this episode, and she compared her to Liz Lemon in high school.
Yeah. Oh God. Of course, Emma did that. Literally, I was going to mention that on the podcast, and then the conversation just moved away. But it was my total thought of one of the best things 30 Rock ever did was show the world that, sometimes the nerds are the bully.
Yeah. And so And I think it's completely accurate of Sage, and also just like the way that Sage reacts to, everyone around her is like, it also reminds me of the classic Justified quote, of you meet one asshole, you met an asshole, but if all you meet's an asshole, then you're the asshole type of thing. So like, I feel like Sage has a bit of that, like everyone's a mean girl except me, they're all bullying me. And it's like, I think you are projecting that because you're putting that out in the world.
Yeah. Yeah. You're right with Savannah, and like Shannon also, like, again, like there's all of that at play. And again, a lot of that's at play at the game of Survivor, because this is the game of Survivor. But yeah, like, and like Sage being like, and if you wrong me, you're out of this game. Like, okay, once. All right, like clearly it's not true, because you're complaining about Savannah every week. You're not the power player necessarily that you think you are. And yeah, the way that suddenly she goes from early in the episode, complaining to Sophie about the move, and is like, you've just handed Savannah the game, to not voting out Savannah at all when like the shot was there. This was the moment. All you had to do was take it. And nope, I instead have to vote out one of the people who voted out Jawan. Of course, Savannah was also one of those people, but, well, what are you going to do? Yeah, she's just an emotional player. And like, in terms of like judging gameplay, yes, there's plenty wrong with that. We don't need to like, just if we're sympathetic to somebody, it's the wrong when the hot-headed meathead is playing emotional, just when, the fart girl is also playing emotional. Neither of them are good gameplay. But it's, good television when there are people who only react emotionally. But yeah, it was just furthered what I was talking about last week. It's like, yeah, we can just write her off.
I think that's right. And, all that being said, I think that she's probably the third most interesting person in this cast.
Yes.
Which isn't me being like, oh, John's completely wrong. This person has no interest being on my TV. It's more like she's John's favorite and she's my like third favorite. I just think that for me, third favorite is damning with faint praise.
Yeah, she wouldn't rank in my top 3 favorites, but in terms of interesting, yes. Like, yeah, I like Steven more, but I don't know that he's all that interesting, right?
Yeah. That's the better way. Yeah. I agree with that.
So Sage now, yeah, she's gonna show the world. She's gonna help Savannah win, and by voting out Sophie. I disagree with that approach. How about Steven and Kristina? They have this chance also. Kristina's been trying to get her out all game, apparently. Was this the right move to just vote out Sophie? You had, Steven's conversation with Rizo and the little kind of deal there made. You have all this. What do you think? Should they have pushed to get rid of Savannah, or is Sophie an acceptable outcome?
So here's actually the one interesting thing about this episode. I think Sophie was the right choice for basically everyone in this episode except maybe Sage. And I also think that it's a choice that for some of the people really puts them in a really bad spot next week, the fact that it was the right and only move. So for Steven and Kristina, I think it's the right move. And I think it's the right move because of Steven's block a vote. I think you can count on Sage being with you if you try to go at Savannah. And then if Savannah's safe, you hope that Sage is with you to vote for Soph. But she might not be, and that's where the chance comes in. So maybe they should have gone for Savannah. But I think that block of vote's really powerful in a 3-3. And I think that if you can save it for next week, when you have a 3-3, instead of voting out Savannah and then hoping Sophie doesn't flip back to them, which she very well could have, now that she eliminates Savannah, now you have the block a vote for 6. I actually do think it was the right move for Steven and Kristina.
I support hanging on to that block of vote. I don't know that you needed to change targets to make that happen, right? So Sophie is trying to vote out Savannah.
Yeah.
Use that. Flip side, absolutely tell Rizo and Savannah that that's what's happening with Sophie, and let them vote for her, Sophie. Make sure those two are pitted against it, and then you pick your ideal target. And yeah, I know. Oh, one cat.
But that needs Sage to vote Savannah.
Yeah, so perfect world targets and all this, and that's the thing. And maybe this was a missing ingredient from the edit altogether because they're trying to create mystery. If Sage won't do it, then you just gotta fucking give in and do what Sage wants to do. Win this one. Next week is going to be more pivotal. We don't really see them try to reason with Sage, but it's not out of the realm of possibility for me that there is no reasoning with Sage.
Yeah, I think they actually probably did, and I think the reason why was because Kristina earlier, and I know this could be edit, this is there to do it, but I believe her when she says, why would I agree to vote for Sophie? I want to get at Savannah.
Yeah.
I think she's telling the truth there because that aligns with what she's done for multiple weeks. And I think Steven and her came back and they basically said, the only way to make it happen if Sage won't play ball is to use the block a vote. We should save the block a vote.
Yeah. And if that is the case, then yeah, it's fine. But this is another time where they've kicked the can down the road of trying to take out a Savannah or a Rizo. And that has not been a very profitable strategy for them from the very first merge vote on. And that's where it's like, again, this is a problem with dealing with more, unstable, alliance members or, not even really an alliance member. If sometimes you just got to go with it. But the problem is, it's like, yeah, that could cost you the game. Yeah. It's like, oh, we couldn't get Sage to play ball. It's like, yeah. And then when Savannah wins, that's of cold comfort. Right. And so where are we at next week? Yeah, the block of vote could be powerful, but it could be another situation where it's like, shit, where do we play the idol on? Who's playing the idol, right? Like, so even if you have a numbers advantage, the idol's still alive. Savannah is just as likely as anyone, or more likely than most, to be the immunity winner. What if Savannah's immune? Now Rizo you can't vote for. Okay, cool. You'll block one of their votes. I'm sure then, it's like, blue Sophie. The only Sophie. But then it's like, are you sure then that Rizo isn't going to play the idol on her, knowing and like winning? Because Rizzo's convinced that there's going to be a voting imbalance anyway, right? So, and I just feel like it's been a bad idea letting Savannah and Rizo still be in the game and still maintain the power they have. And I know that there's an idea out there. It's like, well, maybe they don't care that Rizo has an idol. Just like, people didn't care last season about Eva and all of that. Maybe, due to his callousness or whatever, Rizzo is actually an easier beat in the finals than we think, than, the edit is suggesting. Maybe. But
yeah,
you're thinking too far ahead. You got to get to the finals, and what Rizzo has been doing, knocking a lot of you fuckers out.
Yeah. And so the thing is, I actually think this is a really interesting vote from the Rizo Savannah perspective because, voting Sophie out means they go into next week 3-3.
Yep.
Right? Because I don't think they think that Sage is going to be with them for more than this vote. If they do, maybe Sage has been like pretending to be with them. I guess Sage has voted with them a number of times.
It's true. I think it's more that they know that they can use Sage at times. But I don't think it's a secret to Savannah that Sage isn't really Team Savannah.
Right. And so it's so maybe they think that, okay, it's 4-2. But if they think that next week's going to be 3-3, voting Sophie out means they're losing someone that used to vote for them, except Sophie declared that she's not with them anymore. Yeah. So she's not reliable, which means that, next week's going to be tough. But if you have a chance for an easy vote this week and then a hard vote next week, rather than 2 hard votes in a row, you take that any day of the week. It just means that, hey, next week's going to be really tough. So, I don't know. I thought it was kind of like an interesting decision on their part, but I also think it was the right one for them.
Yeah, no, I absolutely think it was the right one for them. And much of like how they've been able to maneuver so well since merge is once they lose Nate, they're down in numbers, so they get to, swing for the fences a bit more. Now, this week was the time when they started not down numbers, but it became pretty obvious, especially when Steven wins, that they're for two things. Not just that Steven won immunity, but Steven won something. So that Rizo was assuming is a vote steal. And we'll get to that. But it's like, so they're like, he knows now we don't have numbers. He's once again back against the wall. So yeah, not anybody but you, and the you is a pairing of you. And that keeps working for them in ways like it really shouldn't. Nope. And that's my point. It's like, again, look, if you couldn't get Sage on board, then Sophie is an acceptable outcome. I'll also say that, like, when Sophie gets voted out, MC's like, that was a good move. So it's like maybe Sophie was a bigger contender than we feel, the audience. But in real time, she was. Caveat, I'm not convinced that MC's actually very good at Survivor, but she's a voter,
I think it was Nate. I think it was also, and Nate nodded to that.
Yeah.
So it wasn't just that one person said it. It's that other people in the jury were agreeing with her.
Yeah.
So
quick take on MC, by the way, as a juror, everybody's like, "Oh, Kristina's your no vote finalist." I'm not convinced that MC wouldn't vote for Kristina. Anyway.
Yeah, that's fair. Especially depending on
not against Steven, but I think against anybody else.
Against Steven to make sure that she.
Well, Steven was her number one, so.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, maybe she's, like, looking at it and she's like, oh, no, I want to try to get Kristina second. So
yeah. And also, it just feels like MC, from what we've heard in exit interviews, is motivated by outside factors other than Survivor. So, no, absolutely for Rizo and Savannah, just another gold star play, But for Steven and Kristina, like, again, I understand why you do it. I absolutely support the idea of, if I don't have to use my blog now, perfect. 6 is a better time. But there's been a lot of, no, it's fine. Let's just get rid of Nate. No risk, no that. It's like, you guys keep avoiding that riskier shot, and you could find yourself out of the game. It's happened to several of you already. So
yeah, I guess I would just say this is one where I thought they were right to not take the shots, whereas I thought they should have been taking the shot like basically a number of times beforehand, and they were and they played it completely ineptly. So I mean, as you guys have discussed on the podcast, the Nate vote was the classic one. But then, the MC tribal was really poorly played. Alex, Jawan, like, it's just like, it's like, what are they doing in those votes? This is the vote now where it's like, the screws had already been turned to them. It's like, and now I think they're in a position where they actually, I don't think they had the power to call the shot because they didn't have the capital to move the people they needed to move. And so pushing it to next week, I think, gave them a better chance. But it also, you're right, Savannah might just win next week. And when Savannah's immune, all their plans go out, because the thing is, I think they actually like Rizo. They're scared of his idol. But I think the reason why Rizo keeps getting his way and is able to force them into moves is because they like him and they want to agree with him.
Yeah, it's possible. Like, again, I think there's a chance that, the perception of Savannah, not even perception, the way people feel about Savannah makes her less dangerous in a final scenario. You just never know how a jury's going to handle that. My point up until this point is, I think with these two players, you don't get to think about the end and how you're going to beat them. You need to ensure that you get there because they are active players. That's the thing. I actually don't believe that the jury would dismiss Rizo. I think he's well regarded. But even if that's the case, he's not in just an incidental part right now. He is actively planning things through. He's thinking about what things are going on. He is coming to people with ideas, and then they keep voting the way he tells them to vote. It's like, it's not even that they're like underpowered and like pulling off tricky stuff. It's literally just, hey, I really think we should go after Alex, and then fucking Alex is gone. It's like, what? Again, and look, some of that could be edit. Obviously, I would say the edit wouldn't tell us this about a player who was unsuccessful. Like maybe, no, we were already planning on getting out of Sophie, and it's just nice at Rizo. But it felt like he pitches this idea to Steven, and yeah, I get for Steven's like, yeah, it would be nice to not use my advantage just yet. But it's like, yeah, but like all you got to do is get Sage on board. You already have Sophie. You don't need to make a deal with Rizo. Rizo actually doesn't have anything to offer you here. He's got 3 votes to your potential, 5. And then look, no, or not even 3 votes, possibly just 2, right? There's talk that Blue Sophie might be flipping. We'll get to that in a second, but it's impressive to me that Rizzo's not just surviving, but dictating.
Yeah. I think that one of the reasons he's been able to do this, and one of the things that I think has been a really good part of his game, is he's been choosing the targets really well. And when I say that, I mean, he hasn't been going, except for the MC vote where they had more power, they could really swing. He hasn't been going for like the core alliance over there. He's been picking off people that he can peel, that other people don't feel as close to, and then so he can peel off some people to vote for them. Alex was someone that he was like, this guy's playing the middle. He's not aligned with anyone. No one's close to him because he's trying to play all sides. He's an easy target. Jawan was someone who was in with Sage, but not with Sophie or Kristina or Steven, except by his proximity to Sage. And it's like, yeah, Steven spent some time with him, so he was a little closer to him. But so, but Kristina was kind of like grandfathered into that, was probably okay with him. But Sophie had no interest in Jawan. Sophie had no interest in Sage. And so Rizo was able to like pick a target that again was like someone who was outside enough, but also hurt the alliance that he's like working against. And so I just think that his choice, and then the best one was the MC vote, because he had the ability to be more aggressive, to force it in a way that he hadn't before. And going after MC, and you guys have said this before, instead of Sophie, was such a smart move because it peeled Sophie off for, later when they then needed her. And instead got out someone who was really close with the like other alliance that he's working against. So I think that like part of his success has been he's picked the right people to go after every time.
Yeah, and unlike them, right? They're like, oh, Nate's the leader, and it's like, no, actually, the alliance was Rizzo and Savannah. And Nate was nice to have. Shannon was nice to have, but it's like those are the 2. And like this wasn't like a huge mystery. They were identified like, oh, those 2, but then just afraid to go after her. Whereas the other side wasn't really an alliance in that sense. Obviously, like they hadn't gone to tribal council and all that, but like Steven and MC were. I think MC and Kristina, and then this there. So once they took out MC, it was a lot of kind of lone actors, maybe pairs. But it wasn't like a true united group. And they didn't bring in Alex the same way that Sophie integrated with them. Like it was like close. Like I think Alex ended up being pretty close with Kristina. At the very least, I don't know about Steven. But yeah, that group just wasn't as unified. And it just sometimes shows what the power of like a strong duo that are both working together can be. Sometimes it's a huge target, and it should have been this time, but
if you don't hit it at the right time, it then becomes really hard to break up. And I think that's what this season is showing, which is they missed their chances, and now because they missed those chances, they become really powerful.
Yeah,
and they're really powerful because they're very active, and they're active in a way that say a duo like Sage and Jawan weren't as active with, or even more so Steven and Kristina.
Yeah, like Sage and Jawan want to work a bit behind the scenes, whereas Savannah's not a behind the scenes person. She is in front of the camera. That's her role. Not to their knowledge, because this is deep dark secret, but it's who she is. And I think actually the fact that they are so publicly a duo has also benefited them because it's been treated like a shared idol.
It's really interesting how people treat it that way, because let's skip ahead a bit, because I actually think one of the most interesting things about this is kind of like what could happen next week. And you teasing the idol there, that shared idol, plays into that, because I don't think that Rizo will play it on Savannah next week. And here's why. And this is my thinking. And tell me if you think I'm wrong about this. If Savannah's vulnerable next week, Rizo has a choice. He could play the idol. He could try to guess where the vote's going. He could try to play it on Savannah, try to do that. Or he could sit on the idol again, and he could play it at 5, having a good idea that they're going to vote for Savannah before him. And then Rizo idles his way to 4, and then he just has to make fire.
Yeah. Which, maybe you can, maybe you can't. But all you can do is get yourself to 4.
Sure, that's all you can do. And he would do it by getting rid of someone that he probably knows he should vote out at some point, because their games are so similar, and it probably helps him to have an advocate like her on the jury for him.
Maybe in normal seasons. In this season, it's like maybe you don't want Savannah as your advocate amongst that jury.
Also a good point.
maybe Nate's enough for me on that score. That's actually the thing. It's like, normally if you can, you'd like to avoid with somebody who you have to share credit for your game. I wonder if it's like, but I know that Savannah's a little off-putting, so yeah. Next week, I think we'll be interested. Before we wrap on this one, we should just talk, because there's one other person who had to make a choice, and that's the true one remaining Sophie. She talks a bit like she's going to vote out Savannah, or she's considering it. Were you buying it?
No, of course not, because Sophie's never going to do anything.
Yeah, there's that. There's also just the fact that, when she's saying it, the first thing she says is and I know that I'm obviously 3rd of 3, so that means I got to make a move sometime. And I'm like, but 3 people go to the end. You actually don't. Numbers, just pure numbers reasons. Yeah. You would never have to turn, even if you know that the other 2 are so tight. And that made me kind of think, it's well, she's trying to give them something. Trying to sell the idea that she would turn when she's not interested in turning. If it gets to a point where it kind of has to happen, immunities or whatever, she's got to save her own butt. That's why you'd want to foster the relationship with other Sophie. That's why, see if you can repair something with Sage. But just straight numbers, you actually don't have to turn on them at all to get to the end. And then the next question is so then it's but you need to, you wouldn't want to go against those 2. Is that true?
I think that Sophie wouldn't, because I don't think that Sophie's going to be respected. Maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe Sophie wins if she sits at the end.
Yeah.
I've been kind of getting the idea, a sense that Sophie might actually win this season.
Sophie might actually win this season.
And
it could be that she's the one that survives, that Rizo and Savannah eventually get taken out.
Yeah.
But
I've long felt that the way that Sophie's been edited is oh God, she might be the winner, even though she continually does nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that means she does something here with her knowledge is power.
Possibly.
It's just, I don't think so.
Because
what we've seen is she's not the type of player to make that move. That type of move. And maybe I'm wrong, but she said it early in the game. Basically, she said at some point, I was so scared, it's I've been going to tribal council so much, and my alliances have been falling apart, and it's been so chaotic early for me in the game that I'm just happy to have some stability.
Mhm.
And I think that like the first 4 or 3 tribal councils, like, the first, like losing basically her entire tribe early on, just made it so that now she just like is just clinging to the safe paths. And she
Yeah,
has
I think
no
there's that.
interest.
Like, other people just write her off like, oh, she's boring. She's not. I actually think it's deeper than that. I think she struck me as somebody that came into the game willing to play. Like, early in Blue, it seemed like that, when she's like, oh, yeah, no, I'm not into horoscopes or whatever, but I'll listen to you. No, that's not horoscopes. That's the other thing. I can't remember. But the thing Jeremiah was into, stars and signs and all that stuff. Astrology. There you go. Like, and then and she talked about how like she's trying to, she might backstab Alex here. Like, she was talking it through. Like, even though we had an idol, maybe we should just vote for him. Like, I think, yeah, just the trauma of what she went through, and then this woman was like, she was really starving, right? Like, it was commented upon, right? Like, she was wasting away. So I think in that, and then she finally finds a home. It does not surprise me that kind of a reaction was, why would I mess with this?
I agree.
Especially if you're looking at picking sides, again, if she had flipped at some point to that other side sucks. Like, I don't know if it would have worked out for her. And that's the other question I have is like, I don't know if she needs to flip. I would hope that if Sophie doing nothing other than being the remora fish of Rizo and Savannah would not be enough.
Right.
But
it's kind of like, what if Laurel actually won Ghost Island? Is kind of how I would see like Sophie beating Rizo and Savannah.
Yeah, and like the miscalculation there, it's like, hey man, people really like Wendell, and a lot of them like Dom, and then at a certain point, enough of them decided they didn't like him enough. But again, like, it was a very small number, right? Like, it's really easy to criticize Dom. It's like, oh, you went too heavy. It's like, yeah, you lost her vote,
Right.
Or if you had gotten one other vote, obviously it never would have gone to the tie. But like,
right.
A lot more people thought he should win than any other runner-up in Survivor history.
Right.
So it's
the difference here is that you chose a pair where people really don't like one of them, and the other one, maybe they like him, but I'm not sure. But he's also the youngest person on the cast, so they might not respect him.
Yeah.
Though I think also Sophie's pretty young too.
Yeah, and then unlike Laurel, like, it's not just that like she was in with her original tribe and then flipped and then just kind of stuck. Like, she has a scrappy underdog story to tell. So it's like, maybe that would end up being enough. Like, I hope not. Like, that would suck.
I agree.
But I'm not willing to rule it out. Juries sometimes just vote for the person that not sometimes. Most juries just vote for the person they like the most. But sometimes it's just genuinely, okay, yeah, pretty likable. How do you not root for them? And maybe she like wins like a fire making or something, and like, oh yeah, that's Sophie and her pluck, not like those assholes Savannah and Rizo. So that's the thing. Like, it's like, why didn't she flip here? Or next week, should she do something? She should steal Rizzo's idol and all this. It's like, I don't know if any of that actually would be better for her. Yeah. Maybe, but I can envision a world in which removing herself from Savannah and Rizo is actually not that important for her continued success in this game.
I agree.
Yeah, sorry.
No, but I was going to say, but you raised the point, like, maybe she should steal Rizzo's idol. I actually still think she should, because that's the only way that she can show that she has the knowledge is power and, like, actually, like, do something with it. Because I think it really backfires with her if she keeps it, and then at the end is like, and by the way, I had the knowledge is power. I don't think people will be impressed by that. I think
no, that's not like keeping an idol secret. And like, I never needed to play this. It's like, why didn't you play that then?
Yeah, that's the thing. I think people will be like, why didn't you play that? But I don't think she's going to play to steal Rizzo's idol.
Yeah. So I shared this scenario in chat, and it's just harebrained. Well, actually, it's brilliant. It is not a prediction. Okay. Right. I do not think this would happen, but if you like wanted to do something, just really blow everybody's mind and become, well regarded, Yet, still want to work with Savannah and Rizo for the reasons I've laid out. This is what she could do. So in this scenario, Savannah is immune, which is, again, pretty plausible. And so they're doing all that, and she doesn't need to tell anybody about this. So I'll make sure I get all the details of my post right. I don't think there's a lot, but stalling. Okay. So yeah, Rizo and Sophie are now the targets for the other's vote. And like Steven's block, most likely he'll probably block the vote of the person he votes for.
Sure.
Now, I'd say maybe you wouldn't want to block Sophie's vote because, you might have it. Maybe Sophie's just going to be with us. You never know. But you're going to block one of Rizo or Savannah. Okay. So then Sophie sits up. But
you shouldn't block the person you're voting for, because if there's somehow a tie, which there almost certainly wouldn't be in this scenario, but if there is, they already aren't voting on the re-vote, so you want someone else that you know is going to be with them. So you want to block Savannah's vote if she's immune.
There you go. Yeah. Hopefully they think that. So they all decide that they're just going to vote for Sophie, not Rizo, because that's how it's been, right? And honestly, that makes sense to me. At this point, knowing everything like, he's probably going to play it. It's basically a 50-50 shot at this point. So Take the easy one at Sophie. So then Sophie stands up, uses her knowledge's power to steal Rizzo's idol. And everybody's like, oh, shit. And then you can tell, whisper, we can't vote. Like, and it won't be like a big panic, but like they'll betray the idea that that's where the vote was going to be, is Sophie. Yeah. So obviously it's a little live tribal, but, again, okay, well, let's just vote out Rizo. Well, obviously that's what Sophie's doing. Everybody vote. And you steal this before the vote. You got to do your knowledge's power before they vote.
Yep.
They all go vote Rizo, and then Sophie gets up and plays the idol on Rizo.
It would be an awesome move.
Yeah. Saving herself, saving Rizo. Obviously, Savannah has already saved herself. Their target, Steven, goes home. Poetically, because he has blocked one of their votes. It'd be even better if he blocked hers. That would be awesome. Right? And that'd be enough. Again, at this point now, she could go to the finals with Rizo and Savannah and hold her head high and say all that. Especially if like both of them are like shocked as hell as what happened. Like she doesn't need to tell them anything. That would be amazing. Do I think that's going to happen? No, not at all.
And here's the other thing. If she does that, I bet then the next week at 5, Savannah and Rizo would be like, hey, we got to get Sophie out.
Yeah, holy shit. Again, your other options are Sage and Kristina. So, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that'd be cool. But like, that takes a lot of being able to think about it in an environment that's hard to do. Moreover, like the most likely play for if she plays her knowledge's power at all is she'll stand up and is like, Steven, do you have an advantage at Tribal Council next week? Because we know that he earned one. We know he did not play one. They're assuming some vote steal. Honestly, it's usually a safe bet to assume some kind of vote thing because there's not a lot of different advantages, and the other ones tend to be obvious, like you get the advantage at like the challenge or something like that. However, and for those that don't know, he will not have an advantage at Tribal Council. So knowledge power has to be played at Tribal Council, and then because it's never actually happened. People might be fuzzy. You get up and you say you ask somebody if they have an advantage or an idol. You can't just say something. You got to pick one or the other. But I do not believe that you have to specify what their advantage is.
Is my understanding.
And you can do that anytime during Tribal Council, as long as it's like before they're using it. I don't think, but I guess this has never been clarified, that like somebody could get up to play their idol and it's like, actually, I'm stealing that. Like, I feel like that would be dirty pool if you could. But with Steven, his block of vote, he will not have that at Tribal Council. The only way you play that is you to play before you go to Tribal Council. And next week it expires, so he will be playing it. Her knowledge's power also expires next week. So if she's going to play it, it's going to be there. So they'll assume that he has something to steal if, again, she plays it at all. And he will not. And this is also key why it's a block a vote instead of a steal a vote. Because, yeah, it's like, when at first, like, it's a block a vote, it's like, well, that's less valuable than some of the other things we've gotten in the past. And, yeah, Rizo assumes it's steal a vote. Steven even mentions, hey, that works out because that's actually better than a block a vote. Because, yeah, it's a net plus 2, right? They can't steal. They can't. There's one fewer vote for another side, one more for your side, plus 2. Blocking vote is only plus 1. But if you were to play a steal vote, even if you were playing the mechanism, I'm stealing so-and-so's vote before you got a tribal council, you'd have an extra vote. You'd have something. That's an advantage in my mind. Like, that feels like something that should be able to steal. Whether you've stolen Rizzo's vote, so Rizo doesn't have a vote, but you now have an extra vote. That's still an advantage. That should be stealable. Whereas a block a vote, once he says, I'm blocking Rizzo's vote, there's nothing more to do. There's no more advantage. So if she goes up next week to steal Steven's advantage, he won't have an advantage for her to steal. Whereas this week she could have. If this week she says, I want to, Steven, do you have an advantage? It could have been like, shit, yeah.
Yeah.
Probably should have done it, actually. But yet again.
I think if she had, I think that live tribals, and I don't think the vote ends up on Sophie.
Yeah, and also, like, as you're doing it, it's like, if everything goes the way it is, I don't need it. But much like before, when she didn't need Kristina's idol, it's like, yeah, you don't need to play it. You could just have it.
Yeah, and she really should have used this, like, when Kristina had the idol, and just taken it.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, she didn't, because reasons that I legit don't think she ever justified why she didn't use it on any of the idols that she knew about.
Yeah, I mean, she kind of got into it the week that everybody's like, hey, I think Kristina has an idol. Secret scene, they looked through her bag and found something that looks like an idol. Now, the tough part is these idols now look like nothing. And Kristina had like another like necklace of beads, but like, that's trade mail beads. But she's like, what if I say it and she doesn't have it? I'll look dumb. I was like, that's
right.
not a good reason.
It's a terrible reason.
But yeah, so like that was just my fun little knowledge is power scenario. No way prediction. I would be floored. But if it did happen, I'll look like a fucking genius. Anything else about this episode?
No, I think next week could be interesting. I just have the feeling that it's going to be, what we proposed as the less exciting option of Steven used the block vote, Sophie goes to block it. And then it's just a guessing game of, where to put the idol. And I think they guess wrong. Or Rizo keeps it to then just see himself into 4, which I could see him doing. Rizo likes not playing that idol.
Mm-hmm.
And he seems to know when he doesn't need to. And I could see him selling Savannah out to get himself to 4. So.
All right. So that's it for this episode. This is the part where we normally do a top 3 somewhat tangentially related to the episode. And I guess I had nothing, man. Nothing like this. No ideas, not even the like as stretchy as we've gotten. I don't feel like this episode really gave me anything. One idea was top 3 Sophies, because she's like, oh, I guess I'm the other Sophie now. It's like, not now, always. But honestly, there aren't that many Sophies in the world that
I have a cousin.
Yeah.
One of my cousins. So,
singer-songwriter from the 90s, Sophie B. Hawkins, she'd be on my list, And then I'm like, hey, top 3 Sophie B. Hawkins songs. And I'm like, I don't know if I have a third. Yeah.
I don't think I have 2. I don't.
Yeah. You might not know her at all. This is like,
I don't. So.
Damn, I wish I Was Your Lover would be number 1. That was a great track. So yeah, I didn't have anything. So instead, this is December now. It's getting at the end of the year where we look upon the year that was. A lot of you people might have found out what your music habits were for, a very predatory streaming service that, I mean, I'm not going to front, I use.
I know, but
good on you.
I don't listen to enough music, so that's
right. I'll say, where I get around it morally and all that is like, don't worry, I spend a ton on actual music. All right? Artists are getting a fair share out of me. It's just not via streaming.
Yeah.
The streaming has replaced the stealing that I did prior to that. Sadly, though, that does mean a Swedish man is getting the money from me as opposed to nobody. But yeah, so, and speaking of Spotify Wrapped, feel free, anybody, let us know that we were whether we're, Purple Rock Podcast made your Spotify Wrapped. We did get a comment via fan mail about that, wondering where, like, our thank you for, being a subscriber, why wasn't that part of their package? And I'll say bullshit politics, man. Yeah. The Spotify just like shut us out because they need to keep their relationship with like Rob Cesternino or whatever. So, yeah.
That's the exact reason.
That's it.
That's
or
right.
Maybe Jeff Probst, I hear he has a podcast too.
He slipped him some money under the table.
Yeah, so we're not going to do music because, I mean, have you listened to 3 albums for 2025?
No.
I might have, but maybe like one time each. And again, I don't know if they're the top, nowhere near the top, just like artists I know release something. It's like, oh yeah, I should check that out. And then I went back to, I'm going to listen to the songs that I already liked by them. Cause I'm old and that's how it works. Both in that, like, a lot of times older people, find more comfort in the music that they liked before. Also, but I do actually discover new music all the time. It's just old music. The other thing is that the music that I find speaks to me most is basically nothing nowadays. Like, that music is not a thriving art form in the modern sense. So there's that. So instead, we are going to do top 3 TV shows for 2025 because I also don't know that I would have a very impressive movie list at this point in time.
Yeah, I watch a lot more TV than movies.
Yeah, and when we do watch movies, it's a lot of it'll be more January, February, March when we watch a lot of the best movies from 2025.
Yeah.
But TV, we watch that all year. So the rules are, it's like it had to happen in 2025. Yeah, look, a season could have started in prior, like in the late 2024, although that would basically have to be a network TV at this point. But it would, if they had the majority of their episodes in 2025, it would qualify. Yeah. You got any honorable mentions?
I do. So I got 2. I'm going to throw out 2 honorable mentions.
Yep.
The first is a show that's airing now. I really like it, but I want to see how it ends before I put it in my top 3.
Mm-hmm.
And that's Pluribus.
Yeah.
I think it's really great. It's Vince Gilligan doing Vince Gilligan stuff. It's Rhea Seehorn being great. It's a really interesting show. I just honestly just have no idea where it's going. And, maybe it has a bad end, maybe it has a great end. And it's like, yeah, absolutely. But so that's one honorable mention.
Yeah. And real quick, I figured you'd bring it up. If you didn't, I'll say I'm only 2 episodes in. So that's all, like, it won't be on my list. But 2 episodes in, this is really good stuff. I just have not had time to watch TV over the past couple of weeks due to, really unfun personal situations. What else you got?
The other honorable mention I had was The Studio.
Okay.
Just because I realized that my list is pretty heavy into drama, or like I have one that's kind of a dramedy. I really love The Studio. I thought it was fucking hilarious.
Yes.
And I was just I just really, really enjoyed it. I've been really enjoying a lot of stuff that Seth Rogen's been behind and doing these days.
I had 2 of his shows on my short list. Neither made top 3.
Yeah. So, big fan of that. And so that was probably just another one I wanted to throw out there in the honorable mention. And frankly, that was probably my number 4.
Yeah. So for my honorable mention, maybe it's not as good as my top 3. That's why it's not in the top 3. But I really want to endorse it. I really, one of those shows that's just really easy to love. And that's North by North. It's a Canadian show. It was CBC, but it's also on Netflix, so you should be able to check it out. It's a comedy, kind of slice of life, workplace type comedy set in, the far north in Canada, the territory of Inuit. No, not Inuit. That's the wrong word. None of it.
None of it.
Embarrassing. Yeah, and much like a lot of our great sitcoms, it's one of those where you'll really get to know and love the people. I'll say it probably takes a few episodes to find its footing, which is not uncommon for sitcoms. It's not one of those, oh, yeah, wait 5 episodes and then through bad stuff and wait. Like, yeah, at first, like, oh, yeah, it's kind of nice, but I don't know. And then it starts to find its voice. You start to get attached to the characters. And then, yeah, it's one of those that, like, just pleasant. Like the way that TV should be at times, where you just like want to hang out with the TV folks for 20 minutes, however long. But it has also some depth. Like it goes over some generational trauma type stuff while still maintaining the. It's a comedy. It's not like just 20-minute thing that's not pretending to be comedy. It leans more on comedy than others. But yeah, so I really encourage anybody to check the show out. I think it's only about 10, 12 episodes, so it would take like 6 hours. I think I watched it in less than a week. But yeah, just one of those that like you will really grow affectionate for. And frankly, a lot of the rest of my top lists, like contenders and the 3, affection wouldn't be the number one reason for these things. But that's definitely that. All right, what do you got at number 3?
So this is a tough choice actually ordering these. But I think number 3 for me is Andor season 2.
I had that at number 2.
Okay. The reason I put it at number 3 is I think the middle section of it is incredible. It's everything I was hoping and expecting for. I thought the first section, the last section were not as good as that. And so, in my opinion, it wasn't as good as season 1, because those sections just were not up to that level of Space France. That I forget the name of it, but it's Space France. They're basically carrying baguettes around. What's happening there is tremendous. And I felt that just because of that, the season just didn't rise to the heights of Andor season 1, but it's still on my top 3. So
yeah, I can accept that because honestly, I was struggling with the first part.
Yeah.
But I don't know how much of that was on like the content of the show itself. More, it's like it had been so long. I was not in the Andor mindset. I was like, remind me what's kind of the theme? What's going on again? But yeah, once it makes that turn in the middle, and that's what stuck that, and then throughout to the end. And, the things that it has to say about the necessity of, revolution, all that, like just incredibly timely stuff. So that all of that is powerful enough. And I suspect that if I went back to watch the series again, it would hold together really well. It's just,
I think so. Yeah.
I don't know that I'm going to do that, but yeah, the first part was just, again, because it's really dense as a show, right?
It is. It's really dense. Yeah.
And the modern horrible way of doing television where, it's like years and years in between everything does not play well with that sort of thing. It's unfortunate that so many shows, and some of this was, outside factors happened, right? Global pandemic, strikes, that sort of thing. I don't know if that affected this show specifically, but the general pattern of
strike did.
Yeah. Of needing, YouTube videos to inform me what happened with my TV show before I watch it. This is not, of course, the only show that's happened. There was one coming back now that's back now. Haven't watched any of, would fall under this bucket too. But yeah, like when Andor was on, when it hit the highs of this season, it's like, this is top tier television stuff. So yeah, that's why I put it at number 2. For my number 3, I like you, did not want to just have dramas. I could have easily thrown a drama in here. So this would be, I guess, my best comedy of the year. And I went with The Righteous Gemstones, final season of Righteous Gemstones.
I considered them. And great show. Uncle Baby Billy.
Yeah, and that's it. Yeah. Again, I'm not even 100% sure if the whole, this wasn't the best season of the show by any stretch. But Uncle Baby Billy hit heights this final season. Again, he was always an amazing character, but legendary all-time heights with this season, things that will stay with me forever. And obviously, cocaine and all that, that's there, but
genius.
Yeah, but frankly, the cold open of one of the episodes where he's just water skiing, and look on his face and just how at ease that's just Hall of Fame comedy gold. So that's what I had at number 3. I've obviously now done my number 2. What do you got at number 2?
I got The Lowdown at number 2.
So I have not seen that yet.
I highly recommend.
Yes,
really good.
Going to happen.
Especially if you liked Reservation Dogs.
One of my all-time favorite shows.
Then you'll really love The Lowdown. The way I'd kind of put The Lowdown is it's a cross between like Reservation Dogs and an old-timey noir film, because Ethan Hawke kind of plays a noir lead in that he spends most of the time chasing mysteries that he doesn't understand and getting himself beat to shit over, like along the way, which is like the classic, like, noir lead. He's going from place to place and all these goons are just like roughing him up and sending him on his way. And he doesn't even know, like he doesn't have any idea of the scale of what he's into. It's good. It's not a straight drama. It's pretty darn funny at times, but it's also very dramatic. Hawk's great. A lot. Does
it get like a Terriers vibe a bit? So
yes,
something I've heard of.
Terriers is a really good comparison, and that's actually what when we finished, my wife said, "Oh, I want to like watch another show like this," and I'm like, "Aha, let's see if
I have fun for Terriers."
Yeah, and I don't know if we found it, but I got.
Oh yeah. I don't know if that's streaming anywhere.
I don't know if it is. Might be on Hulu because they have FX, so maybe it's on the deck. I don't know if there, but yeah, I love Terriers. But yeah, very Terriers vibe, very similar. So that was my number 2. Big fan. That and Andor could have swapped, and
Yeah, I don't want to preface this because I figured you might mention them, but yeah, for kind of the big ones missing from my list due to not having gotten to yet are The Lowdown, Pluribus, and then I have not watched Adolescence. This has just been too difficult emotionally a year, both with what's going on in the world, what's going on in my life, and I keep hinting at this because, personal life, nothing people need to worry about, just kind of some of the facts of life of aging in our world. So that's just like, Adolescence will be there. It's not going anywhere. That's just 4 episodes. I'm sure it's excellent. As a parent of adolescents, but it's just like, I have not been in an emotional headspace to be like, hey, honey, after a long day, how about we watch this? So
yeah, and I think it got suggested to me and Liz at one point, and we took a look at what it was about, and we both were kind of like, yeah, I don't think so. So yeah, but we both steered away from that. I have a prediction on what your number 1 is.
Yeah, there's a chance it might be yours.
I'm pretty sure it is.
Yeah, so it's The Pit.
It's The Pit.
I fucking love The Pit so much.
I love The Pit. I suggested to my wife, I was like, hey, do you want to rewatch The Pit?
I would do that.
It was out in January. And she was like, I don't know. And I was like, damn, I want to rewatch it.
I have watched YouTube reaction videos to all, like the episodes, like Doctor Reacts. And like multiple, several, not just like Dr. Mike or whatever, like a bunch. I can't get enough of this show. It's so well crafted. And the thing I think, we both probably love about it, I'll let you speak for yourself, but it's what TV used to be. But like done just like with the benefits of modern television storytelling and, budgets and all of that. And I didn't know how much I missed that until this.
I 100% agree. And that's one thing I love about it. And what it reminds me of is there's a time when TV started to get more serialized, but it wasn't fully there yet. And so it still had individual episodes, but also like bigger arcs, and it was serialized. And The Pit reminded me of that. I know people compare it to ER, and that is a good comparison, but it's more in line for me with like shows from the, early 2000s. And the one I'm thinking of in my head, which I think balanced this the best in terms of episodic and then seasonal and series, in terms of like having both, there's an episode, there's there's mini arcs, there's season arcs, is Lost. Lost, I think, had like some of the best pacing of any TV show, with the exception of the beginning of season 3, which it was notoriously bad at.
Yeah.
But most of Lost is basically like, we're going to tell individual stories, and then every couple episodes, we're going to reveal something bigger. We're going to have mini arcs. We're going to have seasonal arcs. We're going to do all this. And I feel that like that era of TV, when like serialization was now catching on and becoming more common, is like what the pit's throwing back to, more than like the 90s era, when like stuff wasn't really carried over too much episode to episode, or like if it was more minor stuff. So
Yeah,
like
and
24. The pit's more like 24,
But
than like other
not
movies.
stupid. Yeah. And look, man, the first season of 24 was a thrill ride, right?
Yeah.
I'm not going to front here. Like, I enjoyed it. I came to it a couple of years late, but it was very engrossing. So it has that aspect to it. But like, yeah, it does obviously has elements of ER, which was one of my favorite shows. And frankly, like a show that guided me into believing that TV could be more than the passive viewing experience that it had been before. But like, we're now in an era, even a lot of the best shows like don't want to be TV shows. And this one, as like a matter of principle, we are a TV show. We're going back to being a TV show. We're going to fight and work with HBO to get more of a full season length, right? 15 episodes instead of 10.
Actually, HBO was the one who requested they came to HBO, said we're
for 12 for every,
and HBO said, can you do 15?
Yeah. And some of this is the emerging technology and recognizing like what people are going after with this streaming, like what older TV shows are popular with people, right? Because it's like it's not a coincidence, or people should be paying attention while all the other streamers are like, it's shorter than possible, it's fewer episodes. But meanwhile, everybody just wants to watch Friends and The Office. It's like maybe there's something there. But yeah, it's television people buy television people that like it's, and it's so much competency by every decision, right? Behind the camera, on the camera, these are doctors that are all very good at what they do. It's nice to see good people, not uncomplicated, not they have things, they're not perfect, but good people being good at trying to do good. But yeah, it's addicting. I love so many of the characters, and true to television, it's coming back soon. They're doing this every year.
Yeah, man. Yeah. It's like, and a show that I used to love that was doing that was For All Mankind. And now For All Mankind hasn't released a season in like, almost 2 years?
Yeah.
And it's like, and now I'm like, and I, it's one of those things where it's like, no, man, you got to come out every year. That's TV.
Yeah, that was the promise. That was the relationship. That's what made you different. And again, for a while, it was exciting that they pushed other barriers, that this was outpacing movies. But now what happens is movies stop making stuff for adults, right? That just was out. So the only way you can get those stories made now is like, well, let's make it a TV show. Is it actually a TV show or is it a movie? Well, we'll get enough episodes and we'll stretch it. And like some of those things end up being good for like a season. Sometimes maybe they can even make it work for more. But a lot of it just feels like this is a compromise. And there's no compromise with the pit in all forms. Not the storytelling of how real the medicine feels. And like you, and then why I'm watching the doctors react, because someone's like, oh man, that's so realistic. And sometimes like, oh yeah, like that not quite, but still better than I've ever seen on TV before. Yeah, man, I love that show.
The realism of the medicine reminded me a bit of another show that was on, I guess it was on HBO, but it was, I just forgot the name of it. It was the show that took place in around 1900, and it was like early surgery in New York.
Oh yeah. It was by Soderbergh, right?
Yeah. And it had
it was but I can't remember what it's called. I actually found that show boring, so I didn't watch it all.
But that show was like, hey, here's the thing about early surgery. The Nick.
Yeah.
The Nick. My wife just used that. And the thing about that was it was insanely bloody. Just like unbelievably bloody, because you know what? That's what early surgery was.
Mhm.
And so like that's one where it's like, yeah, this is like realistic and this is kind of like cool. But I think the pit's better. The pit's
Yeah.
just like, yeah. So
Like, I don't rewatch television because there's always a list of shows that I haven't gotten
know.
to yet. But I would consider it. And yeah, just like binge it too, because that was the other thing. This was a week-to-week experience. I watched an episode of The Pit and I couldn't wait for the next one. And then I would read about it in different places and all that. And like, that's just so key and core to the television experience. We are on a podcast now about a different TV show, but that's like a whole part of it. Even when the show isn't that good, there's still like
there's stuff to
enjoyment to be had out of the process of the week-to-week experience. And I'm glad that The Pit had that. So those are our lists. Everybody and on comments, this is something that you guys should all have opinions on. So please feel free to share. Be happy if people recommend things that aren't even on my list, and I'll consider it. Unless, of course, you recommend things like, I know why I didn't want to watch that one. But hey, different things for different people.
And if you say, why wasn't Survivor on our list, it's because
the season isn't over yet, man.
Oh, yeah, that's it.
Actually, real quick, how's 48 for everybody now? Because a lot of people were bitching about that season, and for a lot of it, I was like, I think this season's pretty good, and I thought I had this week is it's stark contrast, right? Like even like the meathead chocolate milk guy was more engaging than most of this cast, right?
Yeah,
David, yeah. It's like you guys didn't know how good you had it because you were all up in arms over the certainty of an event that never fucking happened, and frankly wouldn't have been that bad if it had. And now you got this season. Yeah. All right. Leave a comment on our website, send us a fan mail, however else you want to send comments. We'll be back next week, or I'll be back next week. Not sure who else. Thanks again for doing this, Matt.
Yeah, absolutely. You gonna save the episode this time?
We'll find out. But before that, I'm gonna play some theme music.